Don Cruz. I've been a Harley owner since I was a kid, since 1972. I currently have a Harley-Davidson electric glide that is great for long cruises. But when Harley came out with, in 2014, they announced they were coming out with the Harley-Davidson Livewire, which I was really intrigued for Harley to come out with something that was so mainstream, and you wasn't really sure if they were going to come through with it. But as I followed and tracked the bike over the years, when I finally found out that you could order one in January 25th of 2019, I put a deposit down with Ghost, my salesperson here at Tampa Harley-Davidson. And I felt sorry for the guy, because after I put the deposit on it, I must have called him over 50 times minimum, and that doesn't count the times when I'm texting him, Ghost, do you hear anything? Do you hear anything more? And it seemed like when the production on that bike was getting ready to come out, it just got pushed over. Cause I know Harley was trying to make that bike come out the best way they could. And I tell you, it was worth the wait. They finally got everything on that bike. It's not even the same product that they introduced in 2014. It's so much nicer. That this bike is state of the art, and when you get on the bike, you feel it before you even take off. And when you take off, it confirms what you feel about the bike. This bike is excellent. And I own 4 other bikes too. And this bike right here, sad to say, the other bikes, even my electric glide, is sitting in my garage. And this is a bike I really enjoy. The bike speaks for itself. If it looks as nice as it looks right now, imagine it times 10 when you actually ride the thing. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. For comparison, a Mustang GT does 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. This does it in 3 seconds, and you feel it.
Don, how are you, buddy?
Hey,
see you again, boss.
Listen, I want to say you were the greatest, man. I mean, for you to put up with me texting you and calling you on the phone and everything. I mean, I must have texted you so many times. I apologize for that, but I was so much anticipated the arrival of the bike that it was great. And you were great to follow through with me, give me everything up. Every time you knew it got moved to another date and everything, you followed up.
I learned more about the bike just by talking to you, with all the times that you were texting me. And you know, like, do you know about this? You know about this? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. So I learned more about the bike from you rather than I did through the bike itself.
This is my baby now, and I appreciate you were the one that was able to, hey, we put a deposit down on January of 2019.
Yeah, and then delivered in December of 19.
December of 19. So at least we got it in 1 year. Okay. And you are a true asset for Harley-Davidson and the Fern Harley-Davidson.
I appreciate
you
that.
really are, man. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's my daily driver. The only time I don't ride it is when it's in the rain. Even if it's cold outside, and in Tampa, Florida, it doesn't really get that cold. I'll wear another jacket on top of my motorcycle jacket.
It's like 50 degrees out and you rode it today.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nice in Tampa and everything. So, but you know, the nice thing about this thing, you're talking about how it's being cold. When in the summertime, when I'm driving my electric glide, when I come up on the traffic light, I have that heat coming off my engine and everything, and I'm sweating. There is no heat, and I love the way this bike feels. What is the favorite part of my bike? You know, I want to say the quickness, the speed, but the stealth that the bike has. It's very quiet when you're riding this bike. A lot of people say, well, 'cause I have an electric glide too. Yeah, and I like the potato, but it's a different beast altogether. When you're on this bike, you can actually hear more around what's around you. Like the wind right now. I can't hear that when I'm on my electric glide. Well, when I have my wife, even on the back of it, my wife likes it. And she loves the electric glide too. She likes sitting on the back of the electric glide, but she loves this too because it takes in more nature when you're out riding through the countryside. You have several different modes on this bike. And if you're out caught in the rain, you can actually just push it, while you're riding, push it over to rain mode. And the bike changes the characteristics. And it's not so much of the beast, it's more of the, more gentle, but the power's still there, but it's docile for the rain that you're in. When you come out of the rain, you just flip it back over. You want to put it in eco mode or you want to put it in performance mode. The bike's there for that. And I love the way the engineers put everything into the bike to where it's there. You don't even have to take your hands off the steering wheel. Now, the funny thing about it, the bike has cruise control. And I use cruise control on this bike all the time for one reason, keep me from getting a speeding ticket. But the speed, the comfort, the quick charging. A lot of people say, well, what about charging? Well, you can go to any Harley store or any level 3 charging, and in 40 minutes bring this thing up to 80%. That's if you're on 0. Now, a lot of people, when you're driving the bike, you're not going to drive around. How often do you ride your Harley around and you're coasting into the gas station with 0 gas in it? No, you're usually halfway there. So when you pull up, it only takes like 15 minutes to top the bike back off. Be prepared for people to stop you and ask you about the bike. If you're coming up to a traffic light and everything, if you get any eye contact with you, they'll window down, they'll say, hey, is that a Harley-Davidson Livewire? And yesterday I had somebody catch up to me, and they actually pulled up. Man, I heard you go by, because it makes like this little whine. It sounds like something out of the speedsters that were in Star Wars.
Get alongside that one.
Yeah, or a little jet plane going by. I love the way that thing sounds. When you're riding the bike, it adapts to you, and you have the different modes. It's because there is no transmission that you shift, there is no clutch, there is no about 0 learning curve. You could take somebody who's never rode a bike, and you can put them on there, and if you can put the module, you can actually, there's 3 different modules that you can put on your own, where you can make it down to the power level is almost like a strong e-bike. If you want to put somebody on who's never rode a bike before, you don't have to worry about them. But the bike is great. I love everything about them. Well, you know, the interesting thing, the first 500 bikes that are delivered, that Harley-Davidson delivers, they're called first strikes. As a matter of fact, on the energy charging port, on top of this bike, that bike is number 175 out of 500. And it's interesting you say, what would you change on the bike? Because you get 2 people assigned to you. One person is a tech from Harley that will, if you have any trouble or problems with them, they'll actually reach out to you before you even call them. How are you doing? How do you like the bike? And you got another person, a white glove, that's assigned to you. And what the white glove wants to know is, what's your experience on the bike? What would you change with the bike? Well, one thing, like when I'm using the cruise control, I came up with a good suggestion that she thought it was, that when you're on cruise control, when you roll off, there's a little dead spot right there. When you go past the throttle, it disengages the cruise control. Well, because the bike has regen, and by the way, 70% of the time that I'm out riding the bike, even when I come to a complete stop, I never touch the brake, because the regen is actually there and it slows you back. Unless you're in rain mode. Rain mode's got regens turned off for obvious reasons. But when it would be nice that when you're in the bike and you want to coast, if you had just that little lever part where you can roll past it, that would turn off the regen if you wanted to coast up. But other than that, in the mirrors, we went ahead and extended the mirrors out a little bit more on it. And you'll hear a lot of people that on some of the reviews on the bike, the mirrors are brought in. They're the same mirrors that they use on the Sportsters, but the handlebars are in. But I'm seeing my shoulders, and they have a Harley even sells a little adapter that brings the mirrors out, and it works out perfect for me though. Right now I have around 1,800 miles, so a little over 1,800. Yeah, I love this thing. Even it's so nice, even you just get on the bike, and my wife will even say, hey, let's go for a little ride. And before she would get on, it's funny because when we get on the electric glide, she goes, I go, what are you doing? She goes, I'm putting earplugs because the bike's too loud. She'll ride. And my Harley electric glide's got the stereo and everything on it, but she likes the quietest. And she gets on this, she doesn't put anything in. And it's kind of nice. She enjoys going for a ride. It's beautiful. Well, look at this. This is the Tesla of motorcycles. You've had other manufacturers. They're not the first manufacturer to come up with electric bike. Now, they are the first major manufacturer worldwide that came out with the Harley-Davidson Livewire. But if you're looking at what the bike offers and what you have, the price is in line with it. If you go buy, you can drive the other bikes and you'll ride this, you'll come back to this. Your price when they first came out with the Tesla Roadster. That car was over $100,000 when they first came out and was limited. Then they came out with that Model S, which was a very luxury market. And that's where they built on them. Then now you got the Model 3. Model 3 start off in production. That's the same thing. This right here is the halo for Harley-Davidson, and it really shows. If you ride this bike, you'll know what this bike has gone into. Everything that's gone into this bike, where it's got built-in GPS, it's got ABS braking, it has everything that knows, it's got anti-wheelie, it's got, you can turn these features off too if you want to pull a wheelie, but it's got so many safety features in it, it is top-notch. But it's funny you should say that, because I have buddies of mine that are die-hard Harley fans, and when they found out I got this bike, they said, "What the hell you got that bike for? That's not no Harley." And I said, this is the next evolution of Harley-Davidson. This is where they're still going to keep the ice bikes. You're still going to have those, but on this, it opens up the, not just for millennials. I'm 60 years of age. I love the technology on this bike. But when you're looking at the bike and what it offers, and you got a guy that comes, he doesn't know what it offers, you know it, you've done your research, you've done your homework on the bike. I said, wait a minute, I know you don't like it, here, come here. And I'll go ahead, it's got a key fob, I'll put the key fob in his pocket, and I said, get on the bike and ride it. That's all, just don't say another word. Every single buddy of mine that are die-hard Harley fans, and some guys I don't even know if somebody else knew, I let them ride the bike, every one of them come back and go, wow, the first thing they say, that's a lot of fun. And I go, they even said, one guy said, I've never had that much fun on my Harley. And he's a die-hard Harley, and he goes, you know, I got to really start looking at that a little differently.